come in, we would listen to his thoughts and what we want to talk about. So I want to talk about leadership in Rivers State, and not just from a political angle. I want to look at it from, various angles, different angles. But it's become pertinent that we talk about leadership because, if I should open the phone lines and ask you what really is the problem, why Nigeria is not moving in the direction it's supposed to, why we're not nursing our potential as a country. Someone say, oh, we've got bad leaders. Oh, we've got bad leaders. Oh, we've got terrible leaders. But I will always tell you that a leader does not fall from heaven. The leader, is a product of the society. It's a product of the masses. Tinubu did not come from heaven. He came from the masses. He was once part of the masses. And when his time is done with, he will continue to be, part of the masses. For instance, look at Olusegun Obasanjo. Right now, he's just a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Yes, former president, but still just a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So, some of you would say, oh, leadership is the problem, but the leaders are gotten from the people. So that means there is a place where we've missed it. There is a place where, we've not got it right. And looking at the political turmoil in Rivers State, I mean, like I said, I'm so surprised that in 2024, we're still saying that the governor of a state is the lead. I mean, I don't understand that. It's constitutional, of course. It's in the constitution that once he's elected as governor, he's supposedly the leader of the state. And so if we are still arguing about that, does it mean that we don't even know what or who a leader is? I mean, it could be possible. Maybe we know what the dictionary definition is, but we do not know what a leader is supposed to do, or who a leader is in terms of practicality. I guess that's the problem, and that's why we have people fighting. I'm talking about fighting, shedding blood to go into office, and then they get into office and they cannot do anything for the people, because I do think they forget that for you to be a leader, that means you've got followers. And the measurement of how great your leadership is, or your leadership style is seen, reflected on how well your followers are living, the kind of good life they're living. And which ways, my guest, like I said, will join us shortly. We would understand what leadership is, what leadership style we should have, not just politics. We look at it from the economical and even societal angles, and even from a personal angle, because these days we're seeing marriages crash, we're seeing homes become destabilized. So we're going to look at it from all of those angles, and talk for development from a thorough perspective, or perspectives as the case may be. Coming out to say that the governor is the leader of the party in, the leader of the state, rather. Once again, it shows that we as a people do not know who a leader is supposed to be. So, my guest just walked in and he's made my job easier, because I was not wondering if I was going to be talking all by myself, because all I prepared for were questions to throw at him. Now, sometime this year, the Guardian newspaper published top 50 most inspiring and effective CEOs in 2023 here in Nigeria, and my guest was amongst them. He was amongst them, and that's why I've called him now I begged him actually to come into the studio to come help us with this conversation. I'm talking about Patrick Uduma, who is the managing director, Icren Services Limited. I hope I pronounced it well. Is it Icren?
Very well. You got it right. So you didn't call ice cream.
Of course, I didn't call ice cream. It's good to see you, Mr.
Good to
Patrick.
see you. Thank you for.
I guess the what do you call it now?
Yeah,
the traffic around the ring road got you a bit late. Okay, so I was just telling them that leadership seems like a problem in Nigeria. Getting good leaders to rule the country, getting good leaders to run, places like the civil service, getting good leaders to run even businesses and even the homes, because we see a high rate of divorce these days. Men are not good leaders these days, and women are not looking to follow leaders that are not, going in a direct or a good direction. So, can we understand from your perspective, what really can we say is leadership? And we're not looking for a dictionary definition of leadership. We want to get a practical definition of what leadership is. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you again.
Yeah.
Leadership is not position.
Okay, interesting.
Leadership is not position. In fact, you can own a business and not be a leader.
Oh, wow.
So, we confuse this leadership with, okay, I own a business, so I'm the leader. Nah. Now, leadership is not a title. Leadership is an assignment.
An assignment.
It's an assignment. Before I entered into leadership, the first thing I did is to discover who I am. Now, your identity will define the world, not your assignment.
Okay.
So, I read a particular from the good book. Now, it was said that before you enthrone into leadership, don't think about any external thing. Think about who you are. And who you are was the scroll, the law, a copy of the law. You see, don't think of having a wife. Don't think about having all that. Because having doesn't qualify you to be a leader.
So a leader, what qualifies you is knowing that you're going on an assignment, if I got you right.
That's an assignment. It's service.
So when we talk about, that's my leader in politics, are you saying we're not getting it right?
No, that's not leadership. That's why it's in Nigeria we don't have a political leader. We have what do they call it now? Ruling.
Political leadership.
Yes. They say the ruling political party. They are ruling. It's different in between rulership and leadership.
Okay, can you break down the difference?
So in rulership, it's a command structure. You are forcing people to, whether they like you or they don't like you. But leadership, it's more like you have climbed a mountain. Now it's to identify other people and give them the role and the capacity to climb the mountain. Seeing people to climb the mountain. So it's not the height of the mountain that you climb, but how many people can you take up to the mountain?
So all of the people who have fought for power. Now let's come to Rivers State, because there's a political situation in Rivers State.
Yeah.
Now, all of these people who have fought for power, can we classify them as leaders?
They're rulers.
They're rulers.
They're rulers.
Recently, someone made a statement and said another person, the current governor, is the leader of the party, leader of Rivers State. But you're saying they're rulers.
Okay, so if it's a leader, right? Let him come during sanitation.
Wow.
And lead us how to clean the gutters. That's a leader. And not somebody who will command us and stay in his comfort zone. How are you leading?
But there is the belief that a governor or a president or a commissioner or someone in such high position should not belittle themselves to do things like that.
So let's look at it, okay? Let's say like you're a father, all right? And you're a father in a throne father. You want honor. And up to that moment, we don't know what is honor. Where are we going to model it? Who will model honor? How are we going to honor you?
So you have to lead by example.
Show us honor. Then we will copy the honor and become honorable. But you don't. That's not what leadership. I was in Kigali.
Okay.
And during cleanup, we have local leaders, like what we call governors.
Okay.
Who they are the people who will be at the forefront of cleanup.
Okay.
So that's leadership. Leadership is modeling your expectation, not commanding your expectation.
So when you have policies, you lead by example.
You lead it
in the implementation of
so
those
that
policies.
we see. That's what a leader is. Ruler means you command us. Their commander is a.
To thrive in a fast.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yes,
go ahead.
It's a leadership is show me the way, then I'll follow. We'll talk about leadership and followers. What are we leading? What are you showing us?
All right. So now let's go to my next topic, because I mean your definition of leadership struck me a little bit. What other characteristics, or what other skills is one supposed to possess before one can be seen as a leader?
First of all, emptiness. Leadership is emptiness and not hold. You see, we have not been able to understand what leadership is all about. If we enthrone leadership, you see, all this one we're talking about is emptiness. Now, have you noticed that most of political parties or political leaders, which we call them rulers, right, are defined by what they have, not what they serve?
Come again. They are defined by what
they have, not what they serve.
Wow.
If you're a leader, empty yourself out and empty to other people, you're a great leader.
So that's basically another way to put service. Definition of service.
That's service.
Okay.
That's service. That's number one, primary service. Of course, you need to understand who are you. For instance, I'm not going to lead people. I'm going to serve people to influence them. So we talk about, John Maxwell said, leadership is influence. We're saying, how can I even influence me without serving me? Because I need to be heard. I need to be listening. But the new leadership structure is what I call collaborative leadership or adaptive leadership. For me, you know that in leadership, there are two things. There are two strengths that you have. The strength.
Sorry, hold the thought. We have a commercial. So I was looking at the clock.
Okay, yeah.
We have a commercial. After the commercial, we'll continue. Nigeria Info. I am Kala Dakurubat. When we're looking at leadership, and we're focused on leadership in River State, and my guest is Mr. Patrick Uduma, and he's just given me a disruptive, practical definition of leadership. And I don't know, my worldview is disruptive right now. You talked about Mr. Patrick Uduma. Once again, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
You talked about adoptive leadership or collaborative leadership,
Yes.
leading so people can follow. Is that why we have, some businesses at the small or medium scale not, not succeeding because, we have this style of, it's my business, I am the Oga, so as a result, you all work for me, and so you have to do things for me. Is that why? Because I've also noticed that in a lot of businesses, even big businesses, the owner or the CEO is unable to sell the vision and the mission to, the people working for him. So is it this lack of leadership?
Yes, because you can't sell what you don't serve. I give you instance. You wake up every day as a leader. Is it your need that drive you, or is it your values?
Okay.
People need drives them, whether it's a need of recognition, whether it's a need of acquisition, whether it's a need of title. But you see, when we talk about emptiness, it's recognizing that you are empty, but your value validates you. I give you instance. In leadership, there's what we call the sustainer spirit or the survivor spirit. Most followers follow survivor instinct rather than sustainability. I cannot think about sustainability until I think about value system.
Okay.
When I tell you, the first thing to recognize as a leader is first of all understand who you are. Who you are empower you to your assignment. Your assignment creates a vision. When your assignment creates a vision, what it does, it creates what they call a value system. When I'm dealing with my colleague in business, I do not see him or separate myself from him. I integrate myself into him. So I walk the vision of sustainability, not survival. He will see me or she will see me demonstrate it. Now it registered in his or her mental world. And now this is what he is going to work on. If as I'm a leader, all right, and I'm commanding them to come to work by 8 o'clock, and I'm coming to work by 10 o'clock, who is modeling it? But if I come to work by 7:30, they are likely going to come, not because I'm forcing it, but because it's natural. You see, that's what we talk about, authentic leadership. Now, I work in an organization where the supposed managing director will take his company checkbook, right, and say, I am the managing director, and go out to bar and sign check, right? What are you modeling today?
That they can also be corrupt. So now, this talk about sustenance and survival, we see it play out. Let's go back to politics a little bit. We see it play out in different strata of governance in Nigeria and even in the States. And so you say, oh, this person stole XYZ amount of money, allegations. This person did something corrupt while in office. Is it because the leaders that we've been getting have been more of survival than sustenance?
They don't have value. When you steal, you devalue yourself.
So how do we choose leaders? Because now this is we choosing leaders. And before you came in, I was telling the listeners that the leaders, the political leaders, are not from heaven. They're not from space. They're from within the society. So how then do we know the ones that are for sustenance and the ones that are for survival?
Of course, we also know, really, when we look at when you start your leadership, the first thing to do is to show us your value system, right? Okay. This is what happened in Dubai. When the guy took over, they were driven by value system. Okay. On a monthly basis, they will come maybe say, consistency. And everybody will think about consistency as what? As a value system. A cascade from the head down here. If you look at the economy like the Singaporean economy, it's driven by value system. Right? Now, there's a replica of Singapore leadership and Rwandan leadership. Okay. It's closely leadership by value system, not leadership by acquisition system.
And Rwanda is one of the fastest growing economy in Africa.
Go and check Norwegian when you go to Norway leadership. You see those are value based leadership, not wanting based. There's a difference between I'm wanting to be a leader, or there's an authentic leadership flow that you have gotten from your constituency and gradually metamorphosis over there. Now we're gradually moving into African leadership. I just got a call that certain African leaders have appointed
Okay.
into a leadership hub in Africa.
Wow. So you've moved from this the award you got from the Guardian now to wonderful.
Now why? There are consistent value deliverable. They will check in terms of our taxation, in terms of our compliances, in terms of they will come to your office to interview you outside you to make sure that what you present it's been experienced within.
Wow.
So if we want to change the narrative, let's ask them about their value system and how consistent they are with those value systems. They will show. I mean, if you get into my office, the first thing you go to do is see like 8 structural value system. Right? Goodness. So it means I give you instance. I walk into my office to my street. The street was very dirty. And we're talking about maybe a high profile street where you thought all these are great thought leaders, but they were leading in filthy. It means they don't have value.
Interesting.
So when I got in there, the first thing I did was that I can't be here and things are over there. I moved down to clean the street.
Yourself?
Clean the gutter, yes I did.
Okay.
Now from there, I had 2 boys that we have created who cleaned the street. We planted trees. Put waste management collection system. They uprooted them.
But what's the reason?
Well, I don't know. Because you see, we live in Africa to survive. That's consumption. That's one thing. But you see, true leadership is in value giving. And a simple thing. Give, it shall be given unto you.
But in business, in politics, even in religion, even in our homes, do we get the kind of leaders that we deserve? Because now you've just said something that we live to consume. So we already have the survival mentality, the survival of the fittest. So whoever is coming who wants to bring about sustenance, which will of course disrupt the way we live, we tend to fight that person, and we tend to stick with the person that, even when we choose partners for marriage purposes, when we choose who is our spiritual leader or who should be our spiritual leader, we tend to bring or choose people who would bring about this survival instinct in us. I don't know if you agree.
And that's why they're not leaders, they're rulers. They rule us because they leverage on our need. Our need devalues us.
Oh.
How can they unlock your potentials and become a vehicle to transport it from that nothingness to something else?
Wow.
That's leadership.
Okay.
The governor of Akwa Ibom had followed a trend.
The current governor, Eno.
Eno.
Yeah.
Eno has seen a trend. This lady had come back from youth service and saluted and came back to honor the father, because the father, instead of building a house, chose to train her, and that's a girl child. Did not say, okay, you know what, you're a girl child, I can't train you. So the lady came back, unrope her reward, strip herself of that, handed over to the father, and saluted and said, I return back. That's leadership. And now in that training, he said, because you have demonstrated leadership character, let us now reward you for what your father lost. That's leadership.
Interesting.
So how many of the political leaders will vacate an office knowing that they have established, cronies, extension of themselves? Because the leadership is the extension of self. And if you lead a system without reproducing yourself, you're not a leader, you're a ruler.
And let's be careful, because when we talk politics here, there is a terminology we would use on a normal day, and we call it the godfather. So when you say leave an extension of yourself, are you saying that you become a godfather?
Of course, that's also that you are weak.
Being a godfather?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
Listen, if you are a true leader, right, you don't need that system to survive. You'll be remembered.
Interesting.
Right? Let me tell them, let's say I have discovered you, right, and I have trained you and be able to develop your faculty, your skills and competencies and drive you, right? I have written my name in your heart, not on marbles. Godfatherism is a method of or a mechanism of control system.
Okay. So it's still a part of rulership.
It's part of rulership.
Wow.
Because you see, leadership is freedom. And until a leader brings freedom to the people, you are not a leader, you're a ruler. Because what you have done is to look at their need and leverage on their need rather than to look at their potential, unlock their potential, let them become so resourceful to be like you.
So if we have not just in government now, but even in businesses and in our houses, our homes, we have people who are rulers because they look at our needs and that's what they happen, our needs, and not our potential to make us better. If these are the kind of leaders that we have, because remember, the family is the smallest unit of society. So from the family, we get the larger society, and then we get people in government. So if that is the trend, is there hope for Nigeria in terms of leadership? Is there hope?
Yeah, so one of the things we're doing is awakening. You see, you realize that now empowerment has shifted from government into entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Right? And so now government has no control to certain issues apart from policies. So now, if we are no longer depending on your contracting value, right, and creating our value, so you can't control us.
But you've also just mentioned that we have a lot of business managers who are also, towing that path of rulership.
Yes, of course. That's why you see there's no continuity, right?
Yeah.
So a guy died and the business dies.
Yeah.
Because everything was micromanaging everybody rather than laying the vision. If you look at a good book, what did he say? He said, get the vision, run with the vision, that the runners may know. What does that mean? If you get to my office, for instance, I will tell you, I relinquish my office and I will go to the security man's office, feel his pulse. I mean, one day I was in the office and I saw that the other security guy was weak, and I knew there was something wrong. He wasn't effective. Something has dropped. His energy level had dropped. I left my office. I asked him, go upstairs and rest. I told the second guy, don't worry, I'll be pushing the gate. And I was pushing gate, opening for my colleagues, opening for...
as the CEO?
As the CEO. Yes.
Interesting.
So now, you see, I'm interested in him. I'm not ruling him from my air conditioner office. I've identified with him. That's collaboration. So that guy, you are teaching him about not attaching or really getting him because he's a security man. But you see, you have identified him that he can be the CEO.
Okay. Now, once again, looking at Rivers State, and I would draw leadership from politics now. We've seen a situation where the legislators and the executive arm of government are at war. They are, trying to hold each other's jugular. Now, how does a leader, because all of these people are supposedly leaders in their own right, according to the dictionary definition, but you've said it's not a position. How does a leader handle conflict resolution?
It's the purity of mind and peace and power brings performance.
Please say that again. It wasn't loud enough.
Purity.
Yeah.
Right? Peace. Power.
Yeah.
Give you functionality. That's performance.
Yeah.
Right? You don't fight to resolve. If truly they are fighting on value system, right? You see, first of all, acceptance would be the first thing. Of each other without, engaging in defaming, without quarreling and all that. So let's say, if we define what is a problem, it's a common interest, and those common interests is a function of control system.
Interesting.
That's what it is.
So, if it was true leadership,
yes,
they would have found the way, to make peace. Is that what you're saying?
That's what, because at the end of the day, who are you ruling? What are you showcasing at that point? Because if the leadership, there's a disagreement in the leadership, that means the whole state is in trouble.
Interesting.
How many times have a governor have gone to a class, right? A classroom, teaching class, and taught the people as a leader? Imagine what it would have happened if the governor decided to go to a primary school and would teach a subject think about what the life of those children would be, that the governor visited them. But who is the governor is a position. So there's no relationship. So once there's no relationship, there's no honor.
So a leader, fosters relationship with the people is leading.
Yeah, that's false. It's not natural, it's not authentic. When we talk about authentic relationship, we call it compassion.
Okay.
Compassion means that I identify you not as different from you, but to serve you.
So how do we make leadership service? Because you keep saying service. How do we, looking at how leadership, especially in Vivid State, now let's come to, the scope where you and I find ourselves in. How do we make leadership service in Vivid State?
First and foremost, what is leadership? Okay, let's say for instance the new governor comes in, right? Right? Has he shared his vision?
Okay.
Simple vision. Let's say there's common of us that say, you know what? This is a new river state, all right? And my focus is XYZ. And every day he's on radio and he's doing it. Trust me.
When you say doing this, communicating with the people.
Not only communicating, you will see action.
Okay.
We'll hear that governor is doing that. Governor has done this. Not about project now. Because it's a psychological thing to turn around. Do you understand?
Yeah.
How can we believe you? It has to be believable for you to be followed. How many of us follow the governor?
Okay. Now, I think I'm a little bit confused. So when you say the governor comes out with a vision and it's not about projects, so what's the vision about?
Let me explain to you. We're in this radio in your station, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If the head of this station started abusing everybody and nasty, over a period of time, this place will be completely messed up with people.
Okay.
Because you see, there will be no consequences, right? Everything goes, right? It's the same thing about leadership. Let's say, for instance, okay, governor said nobody should throw trash,
Yeah.
and governor come down to a street, right, and find out that they are trashy. They will say, you know what, all of you are going to come out.
And it's there, and everybody's coming.
And it's there.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody will come and clean that street. And when you hear governor have done that, and have done it consistently, because intention and consistency is leadership. It's not abdicating when there's obstacle. Then consistently, you realize that there's no street in this Port Harcourt that will be messy.
So it reminds me of a certain governor once upon a time, Donald Duke. And I think that's what they did in Cross River.
Exactly. You couldn't throw anything over there. The man was clean. That's an authentic leader that demonstrated in his over there. Nobody has achieved that again. Of course, you see what Calabar and Cross River did. Why? That's an authentic leader. Who reflected? Was it bad? Nobody knows. But you couldn't. I was in Calabar. I couldn't put some paper on the floor. Why? Nobody's watching you. That's what they call leadership present.
Because it was ingrained in their psychology.
It is present.
All right, interesting.
So leadership is present.
Interesting. You want to join the conversation? You know the phone numbers. I know I take 1, 2, 3 calls, and then I'll go back to my guest, Mr. Patrick Uduma, because I just feel like I'm learning a lot on the show, and I just want to concentrate on Mr. Patrick Uduma. That would be selfish of me and will make me a bad leader, because I wouldn't be thinking about you, and that I have learned. So I'm going to open the phone lines right now. The phones are already ringing. You can join the callers who are calling in to let's talk about leadership and revisit. Now, going back as far back as 1999 and looking at it, what can we say about the kind of I don't know if I should call them leaders now or rulers. You make the choice. But what would you say about the elites who have been in positions supposedly of leadership, supposed leadership positions? 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, 0817 923 0007. WhatsApp number for WhatsApp messages 0809 030 6416. I would like to hear from you. Clinton Erekere on WhatsApp says, a leader influences and guides people, organizations, or a society. I think your guest is talking about the different types of leaders based on their qualities and values. I can agree with him that a leader leads by example. This, for me, is a quality of a good leader, leading from the front and not just giving commands. So for him, those that don't lead by example are not leaders but rulers. I want to ask your guest, do we have religious leaders? Corporate heads, are they leaders? Isn't a mentor supposed to be a leader figure to his mentee?
So if those corporate heads, maybe like a head of commissioners over there, what time do they come to work?
So leading by example.
Leading by examples.
Interesting. What about religious? A religious situation. Do we have religious leaders?
Yeah. So I was watching a particular gentleman who was a religious leader. What are you showing us that he went to the UK? Everybody's come over there. What are you showing us? No, is that leadership? It really is it that really is that?
Okay, let's leave apart. Generally, now, do we have leaders?
I don't think so.
We
Forgive
have
me.
In religion. We don't have leaders.
Why are they fighting?
Interesting.
What are they fighting? Let me see one of those people leave their office and come and sit at the back and still function.
Interesting.
How many people are relieved of their position, right, in a department? Like you say, have served in this head of department, and then your tenure. You know, you want to look for another place of influence. Come back to that place. Let another lead you. That's leadership.
And I think you do have a point there, because a lot of them leave the department.
They leave the department.
All right. I've got Muriel. Muriel is calling from Okrika. Muriel, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear from you.
Oh, thank you, StateThe, especially. And I must commend the girls by everything.
Right.
StateThe, I think it's really comfortable that at this moment, our governor has proclaimed, but when I say proclaimed, the job as the leader of the state, then you bring somebody to educate us on who a true leader is. Look, I commend it. But I want to say that when you add one quality, I don't know if your guest will agree with me, that a good leader insists, but it does not impose. You know, you might insist that this is your stance on a particular matter, this is how it should go, but you don't impose it on your followers. So I don't know if it's true or does a good leader impose, should he? But in the last time I've seen a leader in this Niger Delta, the good of Jonathan is one leader. And we've not known Governor for a very long time, but with the qualities I'm seeing in him, I must say, in my own view, that he is the perfect leader. Thank you, KDB.
All right, thank you very much. I would come back to my guest, but let's take Clinton from Boris Cole. Clinton, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kalada.
Yeah.
And greetings to your guest.
Okay.
I have been refined. He has taught me a lot. I think I've benefited from this particular program. Now, leadership is selfless. A leader is supposed to be selfless. A leader is supposed to provide us with a clear direction, a clear path that brings progress, peace, and development to the people. Now, I can agree that most of the leaders we've had in River State are not actually leaders, because they've not brought prosperity to the land. They've not brought progress to the land. So, that is why we are having this conundrum. A leader is supposed to be humble. I want to commend the current governor. He's humble. We've seen that he's humble.
All right.
But he should also give us a clear path. Take us that path that will bring development to River State and not what we are seeing like other man did. Thank you very much. And God bless your guest. Thank you very much.
Clinton, thank you very much. But by the way, I should say, in response to Muriel, we were supposed to have this conversation yesterday, just even before that statement by Sir Dr. Peter Odley. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it yesterday. Richard from Rumigbo, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear.
Hello, Mr. Kalada.
welcome.
Greetings to you. Good afternoon. As well as your guest, Mr. Patrick Uduma. Greetings, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We just said thank you. Go ahead.
All right. Please, very quick one. Now, I want to appreciate your presenter. These are people I want to listen to. I listen to you every time. I follow him a lot during the morning show with Cam, the Oracle.
Saturday.
One of the things he said that is very apt is that point he made about purity, peace, and power to help in functionality and in performance. Someone who has been to leadership too. It's very important that a leader, like you said, he knows the way, a present state of mind. He knows things, knowledge incarnate. Goes the way. So a leader must first go before.
All right,
That's the problem
I have to pause you. I have to pause you. Just stay tuned first.
But they're not willing to go the mile.
Have you been struggling with finding balance in your life, motherhood, business, career, and more? Then
Sorry about the abrupt commercial break. Apologies to you, Richard. But I'm going to read some messages on WhatsApp. This one says your guest is absolutely apt with the example of what happens with community leaders in Kigali. In fact, President Paul Kagame, First Lady Janet Kagame, and their children have on several times participated in community works at Yandungu and other rural communities where they cleaned gutters and planted trees. They didn't do it for publicity or showmanship. They did for exemplary leadership. As a matter of fact, until Nigerian leaders become altruistic and exemplary, they wouldn't qualify as leaders. President Idris Deby of Chad showed leadership in the fight against terrorism in that country. He gave his life in that fight. That was leadership, Dr. Benye Usura. All right, thank you very much. This one says, Canada leaders should lead from behind so that they can see who amongst the people are derailing. What does your guest say about that? John Onwa-Ogugu. Okay, so Muriel first of all asked you, I think we should respond to Muriel. I think she talked
about enforcement.
Yes.
You know, think about back to the house. You see that your children copy what you are doing. You see that a smoker who smoke, right, and force the children not to smoke, eventually, you know, the children will not smoke. But if you enforce, you know, the children, you know, they will not smoke. So enforcement is very important. Enforcement is very important. Enforcement is very important. they will smoke.
So it's not imposing, but just insistent, because that's how she put it.
Insistence without compassion,
Okay.
becomes defensive.
Okay.
So why do you enjoy something and you prevent me insisting? Meanwhile, you're enjoying it.
What about leading from behind? This person is asking about leading from behind.
Well, they talk about observation. All right, observation means that you have apparently set, like that guy said, you have set the tone. So now you are watching
To see who is following the
see
system.
who's following the system, which is what about sitting back and now ensure there's compliance.
Interesting. This one says a governor of a state may be a leader of a political party, but never the leader of a state. A state has three arms of government, which are the legislature, executive, and judiciary. Each of the leaders of these arms of government make up the government of a state or country. In other words, the speaker, governor, and chief judge are the leaders of a state in their respective arms, and they collectively make up the term government. The notion of calling the executive governor of a state or addressing and recognizing same as the leader of the state is unconstitutional and legally wrong, as the governor can only be the executive leader of a state and not the leader per se of a state. Most Nigerians have always made this mistake of seeing the leader of one arm of government as the leader of government, whereas it is the collective leaders of the three arms that make up leadership of government. The governor is not the number one citizen of a state, neither a president. Rather, they are number one executive citizens of a state. Wisdom J from Abua. Okay, all right. But my time is up. I can read all the messages. I should start by saying thank you very much for a wonderful session. All right, so let's get some final thoughts on this very issue from you.
It's very easy to get followers.
Okay.
If you lead yourself into betterment, you can lead others into betterment.
Oh, interesting. I don't know if you agree with me, but I think we need a leadership part 2 conversation. So I'm saying it now that Mr. Patrick is in the studio. So we will look for a good date and talk about leadership part 2.
Oh, fantastic. I'll be available.
All right. Thank you very much for your time. And once again, congratulations on the Guardian Awards that you got.
Thank you so much, Kyle.
All right,
Thank you for what you do, all right?
All right.
Enjoy
thank you.
yourself.
Yeah.